You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
That was an abrupt ending, but bring back that beat DJ anyway.
Well, it's the same length, man.
That's what she said.
It does size matter. That's what she asked me.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All week. I'll be here all week.
Well, welcome to the forecast. We are back. I know it's the three of us right now, but Wilk should be joining in here in just a minute. We should be the four of us back together again, reviewing movies, films, documentaries, a completely different way, four different perspectives. Just coming at you every Monday, the same time, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. And we got a good one. We got a good one tonight. I'm gonna give a shout out right now to A-Trap. Well, what are you looking like that? That's not
we do a good what? A good show or a good movie?
a good movie, Ian. Oh no. We starting off like this?
Let your white mouth drop.
You're gonna shut your wide mouth.
Hey, for the first time, A-Trap, I heard that in context. I had no idea
that was a white man.
The white preacher that said that. And he was looking out for us when he was saying it.
He was talking to
telling his white congregation that if you are not kind to black folks, basically, you saw them in any other way other than the things that they are, you better shut your white mouth. Is basically what he said.
Yeah, you've been
God's people.
You've been playing that for years, right?
Yeah. I mean, just think about that. And I just randomly came across it a couple of days ago on TikTok.
You better shut your white mouth. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I just say that at random times now.
Yeah,
it's funny. You got to say it. All right, so the kitchen.
Say it to a white person. Shut your white mouth.
Yeah, you'll be laughing harder than they will be.
Yeah.
All right, so tonight's review is The Kitchen. It is available on Netflix, and you can check that out now. And you want to give us the breakdown on it?
Yes, sir. So the plot is in a dystopian future, 2044 London, where all social housing has been eliminated, Izi and Benji fight the natural world as residents of the kitchen, a community that refuses to abandon their home. The gap between the rich and the poor is stretched to the limits. The kitchen is one of the only social housing estates left. It was directed by the forecast's own, let's just say that, because we've been in his wheelhouse a couple of times, Daniel Kaluuya. This is his directorial debut. You normally see him on the other side of the camera, on the big screen. So he directed here, and then you have some first timers, also, and Kibwe Tavares also directed it with him. This was released January 12th, 2024 in the UK. This is our first foray into a UK release film, right? On the forecast. And I've been having a lot of people tell me that films in the UK and some African films, believe it or not, are actually something that we should be giving a closer look to. So I think, that's for me one of the biggest redeeming qualities of this particular film is that it was done in the UK. So again, a lot of first timers in the cast, and they show that sometimes acting just comes natural to folks.
Yeah. And so the main character, which is Izi, which this guy looks like a mix between I had it in my notes. He looked like Tony Parker and Dave East out here, but anyway.
I don't know who Dave East is.
He's a rapper, but
did you watch the Wu-Tang Saga?
I didn't get very far part of it.
Did you see the guy who played Method Man?
I think so. Okay, so that guy. Okay.
He's on Nas's label.
Okay.
But yeah, 2044, and to me, this was there's a lot of angles you could go with this. Let's get into some initial thoughts. Hopefully, we get Wilkes here in a minute. But I mean, there's gentrification here. There's you if they just want to build something where you live, and they could do everything they can to get you out.
Eminent domain.
Right. So I mean, there was a lot of different levels to this. I felt like there was a good mixture of like suspense and known, which to me that makes a good film because what was that?
Did you just hit a drop or something?
No, I thought that was you.
No, I didn't hit a drop. But for some reason you cut out. You got muffled real bad when I heard the drop.
On our end, it sounded like somebody opened up a drink.
Yeah, I don't know that. No, that wasn't me. I thought that was you. Yeah.
Oh, I
see you looking over there. You pushing something.
I'm trying to make sure it ain't no a hand over here that ain't supposed to be in there.
But yeah, I felt like it was a good bit of suspense, the unknown, leaving you wanting more, wondering what's happening. To me, that's a good film. So let's initial thoughts, A-Trap.
As you said, it was thrilling. It was intriguing. It was poignant. It allowed you to see, no matter where you are, disenfranchised people are treated the same, and which drew me in immediately. So it was, I really appreciated, and shout out to Daniel because this movie, unlike the one we did last week, looked as if it was properly done.
Yeah,
like it, hated, or indifferent. This was a quality movie. It was quality production.
Yeah, there was some thought put into it. There was some, you could tell that there was some engineering into it, that they really had to come up with a good story. Now, I mean, it had some, you kind of figured type moments, but the storyline I felt like was great. Dog.
Let's just say this: the story was better than the execution. Let me just say this.
Okay.
If I had to rank the two, the story was better than the execution. It was a great story, and had a lot of potential. I thought it moved a little slow early on, and the whole "it left you wanting" thing, that's not necessary. There's some movies that leave you wanting that are good movies, and it's good that they leave you wanting, and they can actually kind of set up this whole, trilogy kind of situation if they want it, based on that. This ain't that kind of left you wanting, in my estimation, and I'll save the rest for later. Wilkes, hurry up and get back, man. God,
Hey man, shout out to the X, formerly known as Twitter people. We got 23 people tuning in over there right now.
Yeah, I
appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I don't typically send stuff out on the Twitter right before the show, but I sent something out to some folks on the BS3 Network Twitter. So yeah, that's whatever we did there, we need to keep doing.
Yeah. D great. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, y'all. If you're listening if you're watching on Twitter right now, please say something in the comments and let us know who you are, so we can kind of see what cross section we're getting. Let us know if you've seen this movie and things of that nature.
Yeah. OC, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you.
What's up, Overton? You still living single, partner?
All right. So
you're older building by now, I know.
So Isaac, also known as Izzy, it kind of introduces him. Huh?
Izzy?
Boo this man, tomatoes. But he works at a place called Life After Life, which I could 100% see this happening, because you have so many people, you only have so much area, and so for me, this was more realistic than it was futuristic in a lot of these moments, because if you can go to different areas and they're trying to kick people out, and they'll do whatever, turn the water off, do whatever to get you to move. So even though it was 2044. This could be 2024. It probably is 2024 in some areas. So give me your thoughts on that life after life.
Yeah, being realistic for sure. They're gonna have to get creative with ways that they bury people and whatnot. In fact, as a result of just pure space, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody wouldn't try to pass some law that requires cremation.
Yeah,
you follow what I'm saying? Again,
yeah.
whether the validity of it and the probability of it passing and all that other kind of stuff, was up for debate. But I could see it happening. I mean, hell, there's a lot of people don't know that we actually ship our trash to other countries. Some people don't even know that. Our trash.
I didn't know that we ship trash to other countries.
Yeah. Yeah, we ship some trash to other companies. Once these landfills and certain states may do it a little differently or whatnot. Hell, if you lived in certain parts of Texas, you can get some real cheap property. You're gonna be living close to a landfill. Your house will be brand new. It's gonna be pretty, but every time you walk outside, you're gonna smell poopylicious.
That's what you smell.
Right. So, but yeah, the U.S. ships its trash to other countries. Because again, if you just think about sometimes, do you ever reflect when you're taking out the trash? Like, God, dog, we consume a lot. We are consumers. We consume a lot.
Yeah. And even with recycling, my wife's like, you don't even know if they're recycling this.
Half of it, at the very least, half of it doesn't get recycled.
And my response is, I don't care what happens after it leaves here. They say put it in the blue bin. I will put it in the blue bin. I don't know what happens. It ain't my business.
Yeah. So anyway, So my point, to all that is that who knows, and then also, would you be surprised if there were cemeteries out there that right now, if you ain't checked on a loved one, or if they think all they descendants and stuff like that ain't around or not living, that they won't reuse the doggone spot?
Oh yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? I mean,
they've built on top of, we know that, we've seen that in a couple of films we watch. They build on top of cemeteries. So you got a house on top of a cemetery.
Yeah, here in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that there was a black-owned, I think it was in Dallas, the Dallas area, black-owned, what do they call? Help me out with this. Not cemeteries, a black-owned funeral home.
Graveyard? Oh, funeral home.
Was not cremating bodies like they were supposed to, or something of that nature, and ended up getting busted. They were stacking them deep and selling them cheap shit in the back.
That was in Chicago.
It was that in Chicago? Okay.
My dad's buried there.
At that funeral home that was tied up. Yeah, but it was a good.
The sad thing is Tropicana Field in Florida, where the Florida Marlins play. It's on top of a cemetery.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
And there is no law against that, so they can do it, and you can't sue them. You can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a situation where 80% of the people. Because think about it, at some point in some of these cemeteries, we got some old cemeteries out there.
Yeah,
we got some cemeteries so old they used to call them graveyards. So my point is that the people looking after them or visiting or whatever the case may be, long gone.
Yeah, where me and Wilkes work, there's a I guess a makeshift cemetery right around the corner.
Work, let's say it like that.
It's a cemetery right around the corner, and it's probably got, I don't know, 10 to 15 headstones there. It's a gate around it. I mean, you would not think of a Harry Hines and Royal that there would be a cemetery just in the middle of it.
We're not gonna give me some sound.
But we can hear you.
Yeah, it's choppy and ugly. Sound like he's broadcasting out a while.
Make me wear these.
But yeah. So I felt like that was realistic, and he didn't want to do that job, man. He did not. He was basically just selling people plots just because he had to do it.
Yeah.
And that
It was
was only
commission
one.
based, and that's the piece I kind of missed a little bit. So basically, what he was trying to do, they were basically gonna cremate your loved one and plant
Right.
them, and you were gonna basically be the soil for the
And
tree.
a planter, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
a small planter and whatever. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
I don't want to be no tree.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, Wilkes.
I guess I'm up.
the
Yeah.
sound, the sound is
The trash.
Yeah.
Oh, great. All right. Well, come
so.
back.
What about you, H-Rap? What did you think about the likelihood, the realism, etc., in the life after life theory concept?
I think that's actually. I think it's a. I think it's 1,000% chance. I think 50% of it is going on now, as you stated. I mean, there's documentation, and there are actually organizations that are designed to stop people from doing this as we speak. It's a sister out of Florida. She goes throughout the country and she helps people. She helps these entities help stop these entities from buying this land and resurfacing it, resurfacing it. So yeah, I mean, I think again, it's this book that I reference on my program on a regular basis. I can't think of it. At this point, it is what BJ's 31 this year, so it was 33 years ago I read this book. And it said, watch movies and television. They'll tell you what your enemy is out to do. This is a preview. This is a preview of what's going on. And, people, we got, Ben was joking. He was saying it tongue in cheek, but they bank on people thinking like Ben said he thinks. Once this trash leaves here, I ain't going to worry about it. Like me. Ben was talking about trash. My mother, this will be 14 years. My mother be gone this year. I've been out there once.
Yeah.
And I don't have any plans on ever going again.
Yeah, and I'm with you. That ain't my thing. I mean, I go to the cemetery with my family every now and then when we going to visit my uncle or something like that. But it ain't my thing, to keep coming back. So yeah, I could see it, and especially on some of them, 1800s.
Right.
Burials and whatnot.
Right. Wilkes.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Still sound the same.
Still choppy.
I tested this thing all day to see if it was going to work.
That's what she said.
Nope. Can't get it up. Guess I gotta call Bob Dole.
Hey, even when you're underwater, you're still cracking jokes.
Yeah, of course. What about now? It sounds like shit. I'm pretty sure it does.
It's just it's choppy. It's like I said, it really sounds like you're underwater.
That's fucking gay.
Hey, this is what CJ said. CJ said, Will's got that Xbox 360 bike, man.
The OG out of the box. It's trash ass shit. Jeez. All right, cancel.
All right, so they were in a dorm. They were in a project dorm. They had to share showers. They didn't have food, so one of the guys, Staples, which was we'll get to his character here in a minute. He was, he had his crew. They would jack a Amazon or a Kroger delivery truck and bring the food to the neighborhood because there wasn't no Uber Eats. There wasn't no, they could just go and get whatever they wanted. So they had to be really resourceful, and that immediately made me think of, college. You got shared showers. You can't at certain point you can't bring food in, and it was definitely dark. So this movie is not, hooray, there's like great happy moments in it. That's really not what it is. This is a dark movie, but I think it's telling a true story. So yeah, give me your thoughts on that. On the setup they were living in, because it wasn't really a project. It was a project is almost a step up to what
and they
were
kept
living in.
drones, and the announcements they were making was like you're illegally occupying privately owned property. So basically, what it's telling me is that these were either some projects before, right?
Mhm.
You know, because you could tell the way it was set up that there were doors, you know, so it was set up like a what you'd see in New York, you know, in the boroughs, these high rise projects, basically, you know.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they look like they were a lot more futuristic, which would make sense, right? Some of the designs of it and where it was going, it wasn't just straight up and down buildings, right? Um,
What's up,
but,
April?
but it sounds like basically what it looked like to me is that when whatever catastrophe took place, you know, whether this business went out of business, you know, or this residence, you know, basically went out of business. Some people chose not to leave. Maybe they said, okay, we're shutting down. We're not giving you any services. You got to leave because they were getting ready to tear it down and build new some property or whatever they were,
Condos is probably what they.
you know,
Yeah.
right? You know, and they were trying to get these people to move. And these people also, to a certain extent, seemed like they were off the grid. But
Yeah.
that was, but again, only so much, right? Because Izzy himself was on the grid because he was communicating with this other housing place that
Right.
was on the grid or back in, you know, maybe what you'd call general population, you know.
Yeah.
These no doubt were the rebels. And again, as the plot says, that this was the last remaining social housing estate. But it wasn't, you couldn't really call it that because it wasn't being run, cared for,
Yeah.
etc. by any entity. You know,
Right.
they were just
Right.
occupying this. The fact that they had water running, they were doing that on their own. You know, hell, they had their own radio station set up in there.
Yeah.
Uh but run by the Lord Kitchener, who was a former athlete over in the UK. He's a
Mhm.
former athlete, you know, a world class athlete. You know,
You
the
talking
guy
about in real life, the Lord
in
Kitchener?
real life, yeah, the guy
Okay.
who played the DJ. He
Okay.
was a retired athlete, you know, world class athlete in real life. So they had their own DJ. Again, they had enough to have some technology because, again, think about the way he was getting in. I mean, there was touchscreen stuff and whatnot, you know. So
Yeah.
they were still getting their technology in. You know, you obviously had some people living there who had some knowledge, you know. So it was really like this city, you know, that was being run. It's not like what you would think when you think about a post-apocalyptic society where they're living in tents and there's
Right.
no, you know, technology or no running water. They're gonna have to use a body of water somewhere and that kind of thing. It wasn't like that. It was just like everyday society to a certain extent, except their doors, instead of being regular residential doors, they were steel of some sort.
Right.
And they did that because there were raids every now and then to try to get as many of them out of there as possible by the police, you know. And I'm sure the police were doing it at the behest of the owner of the property, trying to get them out of there. And they would
Right.
just raid every now and then. When a raid happened, they started banging on the pan, so everybody knew that was their alarm. You know, that was
Yep.
a sound of the alarm, so everybody knew, get into your apartment, you know, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. That was the year. That was the year
Yeah.
moment. That
Mm.
was calling out, you know. But hey, the DJ part, man, I felt like was a dope part of this. Because I mean, and that just shows kind of to A-Trap's point. We talk about this all the time. Whatever the worst possible situation we're in, we know we just prone and given the wherewithal to just flip it, make it the best that we can. And he would come on in the morning, and everybody, you know, they get up and do what they had to do for the day.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was a really dope aspect of this. A-Trap.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We called it. The funny thing is this: we called it futuristic because we looked at the year.
Yeah.
20 years from now, man.
True.
See, I think
Not that
because
far
we were
away.
born in the 1900s, we hear 2020 anything, and it sounds like, whoa. But now that we're deep we're 2 decades into the 2000s. 2020 anything don't sound so far away. And again, I just think I don't think this is far-fetched at all. I
Yeah.
think this is right. This is right in our wheelhouse. This is, believe it or not, man. You you always ask me at the end of the show, what is my show tomorrow about? It's about things that could potentially lead to this. Yeah, DC and Philadelphia they've enacted some laws that resembles exactly what was going on. And it's spooky. Watching this, I was like, oh, because I found myself disconnected this weekend. And then I watched this, and it pretty much wrote my show for Tuesday. So it doesn't seem far-fetched at all to me.
No.
And we are looking at we are on the precipice of this, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. If somebody asked me to say a phrase that could describe our society in one phrase, it would be sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening. Sleight of hand. They are getting you to look right, and they throw in the left. Oh, y'all remember Sugar Ray, would do the wind up with one hand and hit you with the other one. That's basically what's happening, in everything, from whether it be, what laws are getting passed, what bills are being proposed. That is why. And hey, if I was a senator or congressman or whatever, one of the first things I would do is say that you cannot put in no law or put in no bill, something that ain't got to do with that damn bill. Like they slipping in stuff to say, okay, we can go take away your we're gonna reduce the rights of a tenant, and we're gonna put it in this bill that's got to do with healthcare. It ain't got shit to do with it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna slip it in over there, and this was put in on House Bill number 192.378 and one. What it ain't got shit to do with this bill. A bill needs to be on its top, one bill, one topic.
Right.
As simple as that, because they slipping it in like that. And you lose rights because you want the big shit. You want the what's being publicized. Yeah, we can get extra apple in our apple. Shit, yeah, I want that. But you don't understand. But that extra apple costs you 7 oranges. You missed it.
Right.
So again, that's all. This is a sleight of hand. Oh, guess what? Now all of a sudden these suckers gonna start talking about aliens and stuff. That they done been so close-lipped about. Now we finna start talking about it. Sleight of hand. They trying. A-Trap says it on the show all the time. If they're talking about this, they probably not trying to get you to listen and discuss that. But they talking about, they not trying to get you. They don't care nothing about you paying attention to that. They hiding something else. Sleight of hand.
Shell game.
Yeah. This is probably Blue Streak. I think that's you. Let us know. But thank you for tuning in. All right. So
what the heck done happened on Twitter today?
I don't know, man. But
and I don't know if they can comment or not, because I've asked the viewers on Twitter to comment.
Yeah. You can comment. Those on Twitter, you can comment. Leave us a comment. Let us know where you're watching. But yeah, it is blowing up. So we appreciate that. Appreciate that support. Thank you for watching. She said, "It's me. It's me."
What's going on, Blue Street?
I figured. All right. So Benji's mom passes away, and he's at the Life After Life, and they have this basically machine that the person's laying there. This is basically the funeral. It was only him. It was only Benji and his mom, and then Izzy kind of comes out of the back and he starts to come down, and you get a sense that he obviously knows who she is, but you don't know the relationship between him and Benji's mom. They end up kind of bringing her into the cremator, basically.
What?
Crematory. Maybe crematory.
I don't know if you're talking about Bluebell ice cream, cremating somebody. Hey, you talking about what?
I don't know the exact term. Okay, crematorium. Okay, go into the crematorium, and that's it. You don't see the person again.
I hope Craig's listening, so he can. You always try to put your education in our face. I hope Craig is listening.
He did give us a thumbs up, so he probably watching.
Okay. What's up? Todd Lutz, Kietra Lee, and Craig. What's going on, y'all?
And Todd Lutz, real quick, appreciate the stars that you gave us. We appreciate that a lot, man. On Facebook, appreciate that support. That's my cousin, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We appreciate that support. It goes far for us. What?
I was just laughing at the crematorium, man.
I don't know if he's talking about Bluebell, Ben and Jerry's. I don't know.
So you What's your thoughts on that moment? And also, I'm gonna go to this question that Doc that you used last week. You know, any plot surprises? So when you see Benji coming and you see Izzy there, in your head, are you starting to think, is that his dad, or where was your mind going? A-Trap first.
Oh, with me, I don't know if it would be a plot surprise. It was just, this was a very unique film in regards to the actual plot. You know what I mean? We saw the miscarriage of justice, the inhumane conditions and things of that nature. We saw that, but I didn't know what to expect when it came to the young man. But what I did like was, once, you know, it showed, once you put us in a horrific situation, we do metaphorically circle the wagons and become a family. We reconnect and become a family in these harsh and horrific conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, let me jump in right there. So on the plot situation, I'm gonna say some bitch was moving too slow to have any too many surprises on the plot there, because you can see them coming a mile away. You know, they never did answer the question. They never did answer the question of whether Izzy was I can't remember the guy's name, Benji's dad. They never answered that question. They got close. He never did give a direct answer to it, you know.
He gave a nod. He gave a nod at the end.
Trust me, when I say in my research for this, it is being debated long and hard that he never gave a, you know,
he did a what's up. I mean, it was pretty close.
Say is I hit. What he trying to say, but he don't know.
Yeah, that was his daddy, man.
Anyway, probably so, but you know, but my point in this particular comment on as far as the plot twist is concerned, A-Trap made a point that says whenever we are faced with adversity, we rise to the occasion, right? Mm-hmm. And still find joy, and we level set what happy is. We level set what success is. We level set what joy is, right? However, what this film shows is, because you guess what? You didn't just see all black folks. Mm-hmm. What it shows is that the true social structure has more to do with finances than it does color. Remember I said earlier, sleight of hand? Mm-hmm. That's same thing. Racism is sleight of hand. I'm not trying to say it's not real. Don't trust me. I'm not trying to say that. It is real, but that's not the issue. The issue is social status based on socioeconomic situations. And if you ever paid attention, country white folks have a lot in common with us, from their diet to their music love to their, you know, we got a lot in common. Unfortunately, because that sleight of hand is working so well, we don't stop long enough to figure that out.
Yeah, and we think it's division.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It's more of a closer similarity than we.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from how it all started. The country white folks, was a lot of them was raised by house Negroes, right? They're the big mom in there cooking and making the cornbread and making the red beans and rice and all this other stuff. So that's where they get their taste from. Right. You know, amongst other things. Hey, you talking about culture vultures? Guess what? They was getting the culture long when it was just by osmosis, so to speak, right? You know, just by proximity. You know, they were getting it. And guess what? There are story after story after story of little white kids being more in love with the mammy than they mama.
Than their own mama, yeah.
Skip Bayless alleges that.
Say that again?
Skip Bayless alleges that. He was raised by, according to him. I don't believe him.
I can't believe him.
But he alleges that he was raised by a black woman.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of folks out there like that, you know. So again, you know, this is not about race here, you know, because again, they showed them and they were, you know, shit. Think about that for a second. I promise you, put everybody on the same socioeconomic situation and put them in the same place and watch them jokers assimilate with each other and start getting on a squad and team up. You know, I promise you they will. You know, and I'm not gonna say it's gonna be 100%, but it ain't gonna be 100% nowhere under any circumstances, you know. But you're gonna see motherfuckers, black folks and white folks, all of a sudden start getting along a lot better when they, we all only making $100 a month, you know. And I'm exaggerating, but you get my point, you know.
No, that's the point. I mean, but you know what? I would give you pushback on saying that racism isn't a thing. Race isn't a thing. Race is a social construct. There's no place in the history of man that race was actually a thing. Race is something that was brought about with capitalism. Race is the bastard child of capitalism. Yeah. So I would that's the only thing I would give you pushback on what you said. Race isn't a thing. Racism isn't a thing. Racism is created by the power structure. You know, people look at things like, you know, they want us to believe that the world is shaped like this, straight across, straight up and, you know, straight across. But the world is really like this. You know, cisgender straight Christian white men, and then it breaks on down to the lowest person on the totem pole, which traditionally is a black woman. So you're right. When you put people in when you put people in impoverished situations, if they're not striving to be at this end of the spectrum, they traditionally get along. You see it all the time on things like TikTok and Instagram, where you go, I'm like they got this thing. Of course, I'm from Chicago. We do this. We say car instead of saying car. Mm-hmm. And now I've seen a lot of people. Of course, I'm a redneck. Of course, I like fried chicken. Of course, I'm a redneck. Of course, I like black music. You know, because when you put people in chaotic situations, if they deal with each other, they get along. This is the purpose of the creation of the whole race concept. Because as long as I got Brian Williams arguing with Peter Vesey, he's not understanding what Elon Musk is doing. He's not paying attention to Elon Musk robbing him. Right. But that's why people like Martin King got murdered. If Martin King was cool as long as he was saying, black people, get your act together. The minute he created the Poor People's Campaign, wait a minute, you got to die, homeboy. Yeah. Fred Hampton, a year later, Fred Hampton started uniting the ACEs, the Latino gangs, the black gangs, and the Black Panther Party of self-defense. You see Huey, when you watch the videos of Huey and Bobby Seals out there, Sacramento, they are not standing there with all black people. This is, of course, their focus was to protect the black community. And I've actually heard Bobby Seals say, and I'm gonna post something about it tomorrow. He said, as long as we can get you, of course, we talk to our people, but if we can start, people gonna see how we interact, and then they're gonna incorporate what we're doing into their thing. So, of course, Ronald Reagan turns this into a terrorist group. Of course, the United States federal government and the FBI labeled the Black Panther Party of self-defense as a terrorist group. But if you listen, you hear Fred, you hear Huey, you hear Bobby, you hear Stokely, and anybody else who was affiliated with that movement say, all power to all people. Yeah. And it's just a matter of reading the Constitution, and you realize even those people owning enslavers, they knew that people were they couldn't stand rich people either. But the thing is, when you get wicked people who can read things and manipulate things, as you stated, the whole situation gets run amok. Right? And here we are talking about black folks and white folks.
Yeah. And just for clarification, when I say, you know, that, you know, I'm not trying to offend anybody there by saying racism doesn't exist. In its higher truth, yes, it doesn't. But you can't tell that to the people who experience it on a daily basis. It exists for them, right? You know, but true, it's a social construct, you know, meant to.
It should be called classism.
Yeah. To distract, you know. And again, shout out to, you know, the ex viewers, formerly known. I was gonna say Xbox because I saw that comment. But again, viewers, again, if this is your first time tuning into the forecast, yes, we review movies. This is not your mom and daddy Siskel and Ebert by any stretch of the imagination. We only review one movie per show, not several. And a lot of times that movie is just simply a launching pad for us to talk about what we're going through on a daily basis as a society. Hell, if you'd have tuned into our King Kong versus Godzilla movie, they're coming out with another one, right? That looks fantastic. But we started talking about some whole other stuff that you wouldn't have got out of King Kong and Godzilla. So I promise you, this is the place you want to tune in. So we appreciate it. And again, if you have the ability to comment, please comment. I'm not seeing any from those viewers, so I don't know what's taking place, but there's too many of them to where somebody wouldn't want to comment. But we did acknowledge you though.
Yeah. We definitely appreciate that support. And whatever is happening, definitely just say hello, say where you tuning in from. And we appreciate that. So immediately I thought it was you say?
I can't get the cremate thing out.
Hey man, at least I got you laughing, man. That's my job is done, man. My job is done. But yeah, I thought that was Benji's dad, because it was just the timing of how he just came up and then you just seen from there on they were tied together. Benji was looking for him, and to me, I think another meaning in this is how many kids this Benji's age needs guidance, and they're looking for guidance, and they can either go Staples, which was he was a rebel. I think he did give him some value though, so and I want to get to that later on, that even though this guy was a rebel, he was giving him some wisdom, and he had more more balls than Izzy did, but we'll talk about that. But or you go Izzy, and you got two different directions, and you need somebody. Benji clearly needed somebody. He had nobody. And I feel like that was another moment in this when you're that young and you need guidance and you're impressionable, you're going to go to whoever is showing you the most attention. And that's kind of how it went. So I felt like that was another powerful part of this, dog.
Yeah, no doubt. Kids need boundaries. They crave boundaries. It is a misconception to think that they don't, do they appear to rebel against it? Most definitely they do, but you think about how many, again, art imitates life, right? How many plots has it been in to where the bad kid or the seemingly bad kid tells the good kid who's getting there has boundaries all over the place. Well, at least your mom and dad cares.
Right.
Mine could care less when I come in, when I go to bed, when I eat, when I do this. Kids with no boundaries don't like that. It's counter, to what they feel or society to be able to articulate that, but that ain't what they want, So I think this was a prime example of that, and what this movie did do is show you how that we're much more alike than we are different, whether it's across the waters, across the big ocean water. Who said that? Whether it's across the waters or whatever, because again, even the terminology, it was the same, right? They were saying, keep that same energy. Bam, bro. They were saying the same terminology that we use over here. And again, it is because the freedom of information, the flow of information now is at such a rate, and we have such access. And I'm telling you right now, which is when superpowers fall.
Yeah.
Information flows freely, superpowers fall. It is the reason why old superpowers used to shut down the printing press and stuff like that, because they didn't want the freedom of information to be flowing like that.
Right.
So again.
Hey, Trap.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm forced to agree with you totally. And you just started. I'm gonna back map from the beginning of your conversation. The falling of us, the falling of the superiority complex starts with media, and you see our government, the United States federal government, currently is in the midst of attempting to shut down TikTok. This is a fascist move, and this is fascist. This is right out the fascist playbook. This fascism 101. You don't agree with me? All you have to do is go back 100 years and see the Adolf Hitler turn the media. He basically, Donald Trump is all but, he might as well just be saying, and in chapter 4 of Mein Kampf, he is walking right through Adolf Hitler's playbook. He is alienating people at the bottom rung of society, the migrants. Then he's going to go after the next group of people, which were the homosexuals. He's doing the homosexuals now. And then he went after the gypsies, and the gypsies will be us. And then he's just going to continue to do it. This dude has literally walked out in the last 36 hours and said, I want to be a dictator. And if I don't get reelected, it's going to be a bloodbath. So to double down on what you just stated, you want to attack people, you destroy the information, you keep people as ignorant as possible. What is the Republican Party doing right now? They're trying to defund the schools. They're trying to do away with schools. You got Sarah Huckabee Sanders in Arkansas making the legal working age, I think it's down to 12 now. So basically, you're gonna put children in factories, and who does not want to help their parents, their struggling parent. So you're gonna put people back in ignorant situation that goes right back to Europe. A couple hundred years ago, only 2% of the people in Europe could read. That's why they used to tell you what the Bible said, and you had to go along with it, because who's willing to argue with God? So this is a perfect example of what's going on in this movie. I think another thing to double down on the dad thing, from the dad's perspective, this is also, again, destroying the concept of, I would even say, again, this is the second week in a row where art, to use your phraseology, art was imitating life. Last week, it was an inappropriate relationship with a client and an attorney.
Right.
Okay, this week, it is a part two of that. Part two of that is this. Fonnie Willis was calling her father daddy. To me, that was ingratiating her father. That was putting her father, some people may go, how is she using daddy? Actually, daddy is almost the greatest term of endeared or honorific that you can give someone, because he ain't my father, he my daddy.
That's
and
right,
what daddies are embracing to children. Daddies ingratiate themselves to their children. Daddies prop up young people and and turn a young person into a superhero. This is what this man was doing. When the negativity ran up on them, what he do? Hey, go do it. We are in a chaotic situation, but I'm gonna take time to make sure you enjoy life. I'm gonna take you skating. I'm gonna show you love. Simultaneously, I'm gonna show you that the world is chaotic. And when the chaos shows up, I'm gonna be your father, because I'm gonna tell you, go on out there and finish playing while I handle this negativity. So again, this is why I enjoyed this film so much, because it was truly art imitating life. It was elevating Black men and Black fatherhoods with Black young men, instead of us always getting this trope that we don't take care of our children. I don't know if this young man is mine, but I'm gonna treat him as such. I'm gonna love him as such, and I'm gonna protect him as such. So that's something that I truly enjoyed about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a Queen 3 and King show, father versus daddy. We gonna break that one down a little bit. Because I think that's a dope concept, to say the least. What about your soundtrack, A-Trap? We talked about the DJ a little bit. Did you?
I since y'all get on me all the time, I was paying attention to the movie. But again, it's not like I'm so focused and engulfed in the conversation and the context that the music is secondary. Now, when we do the throwbacks, if y'all ever notice, when we do the throwbacks, I'm on top of that music, because that music is part of the conversation. When you hear Eddie and Superfly talk, you hear Curtis in the backfield, so it's part of it. Today's soundtrack is a underlying addition.
Right.
So that's why. But I've been more cognizant of the music. It was great selections and things of that nature. It was almost like an opera.
Yeah, they had some fresh cuts in there, some old school cuts like "How About Us" by Champagne, "Candy" by Cameo. They really jam. No, Candy was their jam.
Yeah, and real quick before you go, what made me see, and all of us see, how similar we are. Everybody, Electric Slide, man. He did Electric Slide everywhere. I had to touch on that real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it. I was just giving those old school shout outs on the songs, but one of the songs was one of the fresh songs, because again, there's a whole genre and sector of music that we are not exposed to on a regular basis. And that's the, again, blacks or Africans over in London, I think a good portion of our society doesn't realize how deep we run over there.
Yeah.
Okay, a good portion of society are clueless to that, and so as a result, the culture that they have bred over there, along with a little of ours, right? You still got your tempo and your rhythm and your things of that nature, right? There's a whole new music. It was a couple of songs on there that are now on my pool playlist because they so banging, and I'm like, wow, this is what's up. They give a little bit of a techno vibe, they give a little bit of a house vibe. It's like you taking techno and hip hop and you mix, and they had a baby. It's basically what they with. Or you take techno, reggae, and hip hop and you mix it all together, and that's what you come out with there. So if you're a music fan, checking out some of the stuff you get over in the Africans from London is, I promise you,
Afrobeat is hard, man. The Afrobeat is hard.
Yeah, and we everywhere.
It is. And if you pay the fee $5 a month, you can get this behind the scenes combo. I promise you.
Yeah. It is.
And another thing, let me ask A-Trap. I don't know if being you was old enough necessarily to really be paying attention to this. You might have been in college and on some other stuff, but did you get the Total Recall vibes? I expected to see a woman with 3 breasts coming down the thing, right? Because that was one of the biggest things in Total Recall. But did you get kind of Total Recall kind of feeling of this?
You know what? I literally said, I was like, this is Total Recall versus meets Mad Max.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Because
I do remember Mad Max.
Though, makes sense because it was some, dystopian, kind of, tough times. They going back to the, Stone Ages, so to speak. They had some technology. So yeah, which would be the Total Recall because Total Recall was it was a similar situation in the fact that it was a struggling sect of society being represented there, right? They had the same kind of hustlers and stuff like that, but they're still, kind of back in the gap, so to speak. Oh yeah, but I got Total Recall vibes all day long, man.
That, now that I'm thinking about it, another movie, this is just right on the fly as you were talking, Book of Eli as well.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yep.
Wilkes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Shut your ass up.
Hey, he sound like Eartha Kitt.
I had to switch to my damn razor, Mike. I was like, whatever, man. This is trash.
We can hear you clearly.
I had to switch I had to go to my big boy, Mike.
Like, yeah. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot, but get kind of
good because the movie was trash anyway.
That's why I wanted Wilkes. Because Wilkes, they've been giving it high praise, brother.
Movie was trash. Not with it. You're not gonna fucking bury me like a plant and then bring me back as some fertilizer. No. Sorry. I watched this movie twice and I was like, okay, whatever.
Twice?
Yeah.
This is not a two-timer right here, man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, it's almost over with. I was like, oh, I better rewatch it so I can. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Because it didn't lead you nowhere, right, Wilkes?
Right, it was garbage.
You're done. You're like, what was the point of this?
Right, it was only good when it was going off. I was like, what is this? It was like,
no, hold on. We're not talking about me and Copa. Me and Copa was last week. Now, you sure?
We talking about this movie, Kitchen. This movie, yeah.
It showed us a lot of stuff, but it's like what was your point? At the end.
Yeah, I honestly, now I will say this. I felt like they were watching obviously the things that have been going on with these mass robberies in Las Vegas, not Las Vegas, but Los Angeles and just around the country in San Francisco. I think they were pulling from that, which I get it. And then also it was kind of like one of those, eat the rich kind of thing vibes, and I get what they were doing, but it was just like, oh, what else can you give me here? Like, But that's just me.
Yeah, well, again, Wilkes, his take on it, my take on it is what some, critics were saying about it, you know. So when we get into the mic rating a little later, we'll get more specific about some of the reviews, but that is exactly what some folks were saying. It's like you moved slow and you never got where you were going. If you're gonna move that slow, at least make where you're going worth
Yeah.
there wasn't a boom. Yeah, there wasn't like a boom at the end. It was just it was a lull. Yeah.
But the thing is, this was a H-Rap centric movie for me. And the reason I say that is because I wasn't looking. I totally get where y'all were going, because I remember around the skating part, I was like, "This movie too slow." Yeah. But after I watched it, I reflected on it.
That's right.
I think it was a pure. The entire setting was a metaphor.
Yeah.
Right. Daniel was trying to say, "Y'all over there,
yeah,
doing the same thing over here."
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And H-Rap, don't after what we've done over a few years makes you want that every bad movie you watch, you want to call one of us to talk about it. Like, what did I miss? Because we respect each other's opinion enough to be like, okay, maybe he saw something that I didn't see that I should appreciate. Again, that's my redeeming qualities, right? Kind of thing, so which is why we started with the whole, whether it was your mic rating before this show, in other words, before tonight's episode, and what was your mic rating after tonight's episode?
Right. Our influence, you guys' influence changes my score often. Sometimes it brings it down. So
you can't. Let me put it like this. I wonder if any of our viewers try to guess where we're going to be on certain movies based on the movie. If they follow along and they know what we're about to watch, and they try to pick what we think. Because I promise you, you might get that right half the time, but half the time nobody would have thought I was gonna go where I was gonna go with Mia Culpa last week. Right? I was just tender, So
it was a double bag of doo-doo for me.
This camera.
But
it's Ben's fault. You should have just left well enough alone. We was
you know what's funny? I didn't, after mentally reviewing it, I didn't watch. I checked out and I started drawing parallels. It wasn't a enjoyable. It was almost a documentary for me. If that's makes sense. Because it was like, nah, that's different. And I was just going, because it was so many parallels with if you ask me, it was a preview of if the Cheeto wins, because it's going down, man. Yeah.
The Cheeto. But then think about this too. Daniel Kaluuya's directorial debut. Now we're talking about what we would consider an accomplished actor in the States, right? And because of how well he's done over here, you would think that he would be considered for a lot of roles and have a lot of opportunities based on what he's done over here, right? I would gather that he intentionally chose, I'm going to the crib.
Oh, yeah.
To do this because of that, so he can get that message across. So that's why I received your comment as well as I do, H-Rap, is because he could have had, this dude is successful enough. Hell, think about it. If we had a screenplay and we're thinking about, young brothers that we wanted to put in one, he would be up there. Denzel, John David Washington would be up there.
Keith Stanfield would be up there.
Stanfield would be up there. Mahershala Ali would be up there. Huh?
What's his Danzig? He played, what's his name in Snowfall? I can't think his name.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. And he's in like
he's over there too.
Yeah. So it's a lot of those cats, man, but you can't tell because their accents and stuff when they're acting. No different than an American actor putting on a British accent or a whatever. And I'm telling you, these young cats is talented, man.
Yeah, they put in work. If you remember Judas and the Black Messiah, how there was an interview he did where he said I kept watching his tapes. I kept watching him talk, and he was able to mimic it to where you couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Idris Elba, you would not know unless you heard him talk.
Yeah.
And the kid Jediah Bannerman who played Benji, man, that kid,
that was his first role, I think, ever.
I think he did pretty well.
Yeah.
It's just the story was like,
yeah. So let me ask you this, because again, Wilkes is probably closer to where I am. Yeah, there are some redeeming qualities in the movie. Like the skating scene is one that ranks very highly, right? Yeah. Like, let me just say this: our mic ratings are basically 1 through 5. Okay. And if you asked us to give scenes mic ratings, there are some scenes that I would give 5s to, right? Now there's some I would give 1s to, but you get my right. So we talked about the soundtrack when you were gone. Such old school hits. As that song by Champagne called "How About Us," the Damn, right? Which you don't get a lot in movies, right?
Yeah,
so just forgotten. So for them to go get that one, that was dope as far as I was concerned. And of course, cameo, and then some fresh Afro and stuff like that.
There was one, but I can't recall it now. It was done in a Jamaican vibe, but it was oh gosh, they slowed it down, but I couldn't remember what it was. It was at the skating rink, actually.
Yeah.
But it was
I think I know what you're talking about. And they slowed it, they remixed it, so to speak.
Yeah. And so
think about it. We thought we had the monopoly on this dancing while skating.
Yeah.
And, there's no way.
Right.
We thought they doing that in London. And I guess I promise you something, they probably doing it in the big cities in Africa.
And outside of that, which it's kind of a different subject, but just like in Japan in the 90s, I mean, rap was big. Rap was huge over there in Japan. I mean, they have like what we have here. Like, we got the Dr. Dre's and the Snoop Dogg. We got that, that 90s rap. And of course, they always pay homage back to the West. But yeah, I can, skating over. I can see that in London, I guess, as big as it, kind of caught on like that.
Yeah, and in fact, you talk about hip hop being big in Japan. A lot of hip hop artists who are marginal here, and not just hip hop, R&B, all genres. A lot of them who are marginal here are huge overseas, like huge.
Huge,
Music is. We said that about music time and time again here, right? It is a transcending tool. It is a transcending resource. It is the power of music can't be defined.
Right.
Yeah, it's I was recently watching a documentary. Was this Japanese man? Did you speak about the Japanese?
Good eye, Mike.
He has a record collection of Marvin Gaye that wasn't released in the States.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. Have you heard some of the Japanese or Asian guys who sing on TikTok and stuff like that? Man, who have such soulful. They couldn't have those without listening to that music.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So that means their parents probably were listening to that music and they heard it growing up, but it's like, man, there's no way you can get that. I think there's an Asian group out there, man, that sings got nothing but black gospel and they cold. Yeah, they cold. Generally, when I come across that stuff, I try to share it. Because I like to try to expose our folks and stuff. They don't
right
on the record.
Because the biggest thing I've always heard growing up, and I mean, like H-Rap and Doc, like you said, music didn't have color. So for when I was growing up, though, it was always, you listening to those white people music. I'm like, what?
In the 70s.
I'm like, they listening to our music. I was like, where do you think they got this from? I'm like,
exactly.
I was like, Grand Funk Railroad don't sing like that because they just woke up and decided to sing like that. I was like, that's not how that works.
Even the song on this soundtrack, "How About Us" by Champagne, it's my white folks in that.
You got a white one on the bass.
Yeah, they bad. I'm telling you right now, watch TikTok for longer than an hour and tell me you don't see no young white girl on the bass jamming like she Gucci powder.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
You think Adele sound like that just because?
Right. Like, where
got that from somewhere?
Try to be no Boosie.
Say that again. Wow.
Oh, wow. Well, good to know I don't have to do all the work tonight.
That's what he said.
So,
Sure.
so we talked about this, Wilkes. Do you think when
London too.
when Izzy and Benji kind of run into each other, you think that was his dad initially, or what was your thoughts on that?
I thought that's where they were going with it. I felt like that's what it was gonna, because the way he looked at the screen when he saw that, I guess his neighbor, but I'm not sure he was knocking the boots. But the point was,
Knocking.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it was. It kind of probably
like that comment, boy. She can't stop laughing.
Hey, the studio audience there.
That's the white girl in the audience. She really likes the comment.
Yeah, she on, like we watching Three's Company or something. Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that's where they were gonna go with that. I mean, even when he left on the motorcycle, he's like, "Hey, man, get away from me, the boat." It's kind of like one of those things,
Now,
but
go
ahead.
So one of the debates that we kind of had was
master debates
at the end when he said, "So are you my
Drum roll.
dad?" And he gave him a subtle nod. Did you see the nod?
I did.
That was an answer.
I did. I think
there's a debate on that.
I don't know. I think it's left to the perception, because for me, it was just like he knew, like, okay, that's kind of like what he was seeking. But then again, that nod could have been, well, I'm not really sure, but you could be, it's left. It's what's that?
He was saying I was smashing.
So. Yeah, of course he was clapping him. Yeah, he was clapping him. I mean, he was clapping him like hymn books. But
your mom was a host, so I don't know.
Yeah. Just saying. What? What happened?
I said your mama was a host, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But he couldn't say that, man. It's a kid, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick to some folks that gave us some hearts, some likes out there. The educator queen, Mika Baldwin, is in the building. LaWanda Bradford, we appreciate you. Chris Bass, the best podcast voice out there. Kendall Whitley, we appreciate y'all.
And LaWanda Bradford, we met in Vegas. It was one of the doctors we interviewed. So
nice.
Big shout out to you.
Yeah. Surprise, Doc. Sorry.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise, yeah. Oh, wow.
Hey, that girl in the back really feeling them jokes.
Yeah. She loose and goosey. Yeah, she's ready. Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to get to this kind of last probably topic. We get to the rating, and then Doc, you had some stuff too. But so the Staples character, Benji was my notes had Benji was hanging with Staples. Staples was present, but he wasn't the best option. But I had that there. But as you kind of think about it, he was a rebel, but he was present. So and Benji needed that. And then he realized, like, oh, I ain't about this life, when they started running into people's houses and stuff like that. Yeah. So let's talk about Staples versus Izzy. Izzy ran. He didn't know where he was. He wasn't very vocal. Staples, you knew where he was. He told you where he was. This is what we're going to do. It's war.
Yeah.
Period. So, Will, so go you first.
Yeah. I mean, once again, maybe I kind of brushed over it, but I think it was one of those where Benji, he was looking for that constant or consistent figure. After reading the description of the movie, because like I said, I didn't like, where's this movie going? But it's like, it's down the shitter if you ask me. But anyway, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it mentions something about just navigating their lives inside the kitchen or around that area. So I guess once again, it was just like Benji knew, like, hey, if he's telling me to come hang out with this crew and they're solid, they're teaching me things, but yet, Izzy's more like kind of, I'll just go to work, I mind my business, I keep my head down, and that's it. But I think Benji was looking for more of like, okay, I need this. I'm getting this father figure from both men. One's more kind of on the edge. He's rebel, But then one seems to be like, okay, well, he's kind of down to earth and willing to teach me things, or he's interested, and he could possibly be my dad. So I think it was one of those things where they set it up like that. It was warring on both fronts. I think the entire movie was like that with Benji because he was caught in the middle.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those like, man, which way do I go? And what am I getting from this? So, and then that's what, back to your question, like you were saying, well, the previous question, like, well, did you catch that nod? Like, do you think that's really his father? I think he's like, okay, I can't get that with Izzy. Oh, not Izzy, but he's one of those Staples. Yeah. I can't get that with Staples, but I feel I can get that with Izzy here. So I think that's why he was kind of like on that. It's a war. It's a tug of war.
This was the safer bet. I know this dude is a little off.
Yeah,
but at least I'm gonna have somewhere to stay, and I don't have to worry about getting
because exactly, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this isn't going great with Staples because they gonna take off running and scatter. At least I know over here I can be like, well, I'll get your ass in here for that street light come on. It's one of those kind of things. So
tat and all the cops scattered. A-Trap, you looking funny when they were saying that. Say what you was gonna say.
No, I was going along with them up until the very end. I'm gonna reach back and talk about what you talked about at the very, very beginning. When we were talking about children, I think it was the double mindset of a child. You like we were all raised properly, correct? So when you're raised properly, when you look out that door, when you look out that screen door, you look out your window at night, and you got your homies who my mama don't care.
Yeah,
we don't know if their mother cared or not, but they had more leniency.
Right. Yeah.
We want that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Think about this. Who was your favorite teacher in school? Every school had a teacher who we mentally we was like, he's such a jerk. He's so strict. But all the kids,
Miss Watkins is mine.
Right. And we love that teacher.
Senior English, which all of us know.
Yeah.
English was one of the hardest courses you had in high school, period. Okay. Yep. And our senior English teacher, Miss Watkins, people, when you got her as a teacher, when that was who your senior English teacher was, you was like, God, dog.
Yeah.
Ended up being my favorite teacher, probably in all.
Right.
And it's how many years later I remember her name.
So with that being said, I think that was what was going on. I want to be a rebel. I want to be a renegade, but I know you innately need structure. Again, I'm posting something tomorrow in my reels that will go right in line with this. Basically, if you want the world to be a better place, stop saying that these children are, man, look at this kid. You wagging your finger at a child for behaving in accordance to the world that you put them in. This young man was put smack dab in the middle of chaos. You lose the only person who you know. This person, my mother, got my back. If I shoot the Pope, my mama gonna grab the gun and say that was me.
Yeah.
And I want to rebel because I lost. But I innately know I need this structure to get to tomorrow. Because homeboy, we go out here and we can do some crazy stuff, but I might die. He got that streak in him, but he also understands that there are boundaries in every situation. And that's what I saw when I saw that because I've lived that. Clarence, I think his name was Clarence Thomas and Lamont Booker. They were like big brothers to me. And Clarence used to have nudie books. He used an excessive amount of profanity. And he could do a lot of stuff. Lamont Booker, we called him Greg. His middle name was Greg. We called him Greg. On the other hand, used to teach me in 6th grade. He was teaching me stuff about biology. He was telling me, "Hey man, you gotta do your homework." Blah blah blah. Now Greg cut up too, but and one day I remember Clarence was handing around. They were in 8th grade. I was in 6th grade, and Clarence was handing around some liquor, and I was like, "I'm gonna start hanging with Greg."
So you said a couple of things during the thing. You said you and Nate. Who is Nate? You mentioned him a couple of times. You and Nate. Who is it? Who the fuck is Nate?
I'm through with you, man. I'm
What's
done.
happening with Will?
I don't know. It sounds like a bird. He got a
Sound
bird in
like
the background.
the squirrel.
Tweety
What's
bird.
it called? Paul. What's the cat's name? The comedian that they used to call the squirrel. The something. Y'all know the white cat, man. Pauly Shore.
Oh, sure.
Oh, well, yeah. You could have kept that. I wouldn't have named Pauly Shore. You'd have gave me another 15 years.
That's what it sounds like.
I was not thinking about that.
Yeah, Pauly Shore. He was about funny. I laughed more at the last 2 funerals I went to.
You know why he got as much play as he got.
His mom.
This is his mom, yeah.
Owns one of the biggest, most popular comedy clubs in LA.
Yep.
Where they had the original Fat Tuesday, in fact,
Right. I
Comedy
reviewed
store.
that too.
which is still one of the ways that shows that Black folks this power of their dollar.
Mhm.
For Tuesday to be the biggest night in comedy across the country,
Mhm.
Yeah.
for the longest, drones. Wasn't it interesting? The drones, right? That's another peek at how we will be policed. We are already being policed that way.
Yeah,
We
true.
just don't know
It's just stationary cameras now.
Yeah.
But yeah, drones, yeah, that's
yeah. And it's freaky still to this day. If you see a drone somewhere,
Mhm.
even a small one, but there are places that Amazon is already starting their drone deliveries at.
Mhm.
And do you know that for the last year, driverless trucks have been operating,
Mhm.
18-wheelers on the roads already?
Yeah. Anything you want to add on the staples?
No, again, I think I said it all early on, but one of the things I did want to add was, as far as Izzy is concerned, Izzy told you in the first 10 minutes of the film, when he was having a conversation with the brother that he worked with at the Life After Life place, that hey, when shit go down, I'm every man for himself. I'm looking out for me. He said it.
Yeah.
Early on, which is why the struggle made sense when he found out, okay, I got Benji now. Do I need to be looking out for him, or do I need to stick with what I said? I'm looking out for me. And guess what? He had a choice to make. Whenever he was okay, they told him early on, you got 21 days to pay for this flat that you got.
One bedroom. Yeah.
So he's moving out of the kitchen. That was his plan all along. I'm moving out of the kitchen. So there you got a single occupancy or a double occupancy. He had signed up for a single occupancy because that's all he needed. He got approved for that as long as you can pay the deposit. When he had a choice, he goes, how do I change this to double occupancy? They said, well, first, you got to give up the single occupancy. He wasn't doing that. And so they went out to eat, and he pulled a whole I'm going out for cigarettes trick.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was it.
Didn't he?
I'll be right back. Yeah.
He
was gone.
In 2044. It started in 1964. And they were still doing it in 2044. I'm going to get a pack of Cool 50 King menthol.
Bread.
And they came back yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately,
Every time you got a mouth in your mic.
Every time you talk, it sounds like Tweety Bird is saying something. You did, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you this mic I got over here.
Yeah. Now let me ask. Hey,
I think I got it. Or do you got it, Ben?
No, I think you got it.
Okay.
I brought it over to you.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? So I'm gonna put you to the back. All right, we'll bring you back here in a minute.
At least let him look at him. Just mute it, man.
When I'm muted, it's still making the noise. I don't know.
Is it?
Maybe it stopped. All right, so do you think he got the double occupancy? Because at the end he said, you can bring this to home with us, or something like he said that.
I don't know.
I think
he made it seem like, which he could have stayed either way, but he made it seem like you coming with me, and this is our home. That's what somebody he was saying.
That's how I received it.
Yeah.
But was he going? But see, part of me was thinking, okay, is he going to try to get it under the radar, where he just going to let him live with him in the single occupancy?
That's maybe.
Or did he find a way once he occupied the single occupancy now that I'm in it, can I apply for a double occupancy? Because you got to think that happens too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Single
Well,
people
I think he changed it. When he was in line, I think he
Sure.
changed it. Huh?
Not he moved too quick though. Do you think he changed it right there,
I
A-Trap?
think
I think he did. I think he changed it because, like you said, he was set to break out on the shorty, and then he didn't. When it got thick,
If he did, then why did he spend them days in that place by himself if he did the double
I think he had to think it over.
yeah, it was the hey man, I don't even know. But then when it came down to leaving them, humanity kicked in.
Because he did it twice.
I don't think he did the double occupancy right away. Because when they showed him fold down the bed from the place and all that stuff, I think he was still in the single occupancy myself.
You thought he was on some Michael Jackson sleeping in the bed with the shorty? No,
all right, did y'all keep it was you couldn't see outside, so basically it was a TV screen,
right?
You could just change the background,
and
I think he knew it was, and I think he
like that.
He thought it was going to be this great thing, and then when he got there, and he was like, "I'm just changing the channel.
That's
like, it's not real."
To me, that was another hidden message. You know, you trying to get and think about what they called it too. They called it Buena Vida, which means good life. That was the name of the place, Buena Vida, good life. And he got there, and it wasn't as good as the life he said. So again, back to A-Trap's point that he's made time and time again is that when we were poor, we didn't know we was poor because we had a good time, we had fun, we were satisfied, we were content, we were happy, etc. You know, so but they gave us something to want. There's better,
and they ruined it.
There's better, and it wasn't better. More money, more problems, basically. You know,
and honestly, if he could see outside, he would probably be looking into the kitchen because the buildings were right there. It wasn't like it was way across town. So they tried to change the perception, like, no, you're further away. You're away from the kitchen now. He was probably looking directly down on it.
And another aspect too is that even the people that lived in the kitchen, a lot of them left the kitchen to go to work. So they were moving in and out of the kitchen the whole time, which is, you know, again, the raids and all this kind of stuff. It's like every day was a risk, and you're getting caught up in a raid because then
they started doing it more frequently.
Yeah,
towards the end, and that last one, kind of everybody.
The reason why is because they started popping the rich folks. So the more they pop the rich folks, the more they raiding.
Yeah,
and them drones was just collecting intel.
Right. And see, that's why I was stuck on the metaphoric portion of this, because that's what people like Stokely Carmichael and before him, where he got it from, W.B. Du Bois called the petty bourgeoisie. What he meant is you upper class rich black folks, y'all look down y'all noses and y'all living in the same conditions. It's just that you believe that you are not living there, but it's the same fight. It's just a different round. You know what I mean? And that's what I believe. That's why I stopped looking for the purpose and started looking for the connections.
All right. Well, let's get to the mic rating. Before we do that, let's watch a trailer of what we'll be reviewing next week. When we get back, we will get into the final thoughts and mic rating.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of levels on that one, man. A lot of levels on that one.
Jeremy
Wright, real quick,
Jeffrey
man.
Wright, man. God,
Jeffrey. I'm sorry. But anyway, he's a great actor.
And you got Sterling K. Brown in it as well, which is one of my favorites. He is the brother that played in This Is Us, you know, the drama series on TV. And he's played in a couple of films that we looked at as well. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright, and for some people are saying his best performance, the best performance of his career. And Jeffrey Wright's had some bangers, man.
Yeah.
So, that's ought to be interesting.
Yeah, and so just because I think some people think, well, this is made by a white director to basically just make fun of us, but it's actually by a black director, and his whole thing was to basically say, like, we can only be one way, and so, and I'm sure there'll be different moments in the film. Issa Rae, another quality actor, director, and all that.
We saw her at the Super Bowl.
She was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Okay.
You say sorry, you didn't get out like I got in.
All right, final thoughts. Final thoughts, Mike rating. Let's get Wilkes out of the way. Let's read his real quick.
Yeah.
He said, sigh, great. ... Well, one mic for me. Technical difficulties and brain farts tonight. But so we got one down. Doc.
Well, as I always do, I'll talk about the reviews. IMDb 4.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 89%. Okay. Metacritic 68%. Again, a lot of the reviewers and critics output, talked about the potential of the plot, but the and the premise, of the movie, but the script slow moving and whatnot. But it did give a big heads up to the visuals, cinematography, and some of the performances, which I would have to agree with. As a result, I started off at a 2.5 mics before the show, and I ended up at a 3. I increased it a bit, but I can't in good conscience go above a 3. Are we going with a 3?
Right.
So got a 1 and a
1 and a 3. HR.
I'll give it a 5. Minus 2.
out of here. Okay.
I'm about to say.
I've been saying.
Awkward. I'm not going that high.
Yeah. That might have been the funniest shit you done said in the 3 years of the forecast.
I'll give it a 3, man. It's extremely average. I pulled out the thing. Like I said, I stopped looking for the meaning and started looking at the parallels that he was drawing. It's a social project for me. That's why I enjoyed it more than just a movie. I saw it as a social project. And when you're looking at it as a social project, it hits you different. So when I'm looking at it as a social project, I'm going, oh, well, that's what that was. And see, it hits like here. So I made that. That's why I got it there,
See, in our reviews, man, just think about what it says about us as a society and what we need to be working on. It's because we arrived at the same place with 2 different routes, man. But think about how often we don't listen and hear the other person out when we're having just a conversation about life or whatever. And in all likelihood, we actually come to the same conclusion. We actually see it in a very similar way, with the same value, same importance, but we just got to that place differently,
Yeah. So I mean, I liked it, man. I felt like the acting was not great, but the main Izzy is a rapper and something else. He's not even an actor. Benji, this is his first time acting. I don't know about the other guy, but like the music, which the soundtrack or the score was done by an artist named Labyrinth. He did Euphoria, if anybody's heard of that on HBO. He's done some other stuff.
Show, by the way. Great show.
So the music I felt was perfect for this. Initially I had a 4.5, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go down to a 4.
Damn.
But
damn.
Sound like Kevin Hart when he said I'm 55. He's like,
I didn't mean to say it like that.
But I feel like it just had, for me, I like that suspense, the unknown. I like that part of the film. It had a lot of that. Yes, it was slow, but I think it you didn't know, you never really understood who Izzy was. You knew he was just there, really. But
yeah.
And
that gives us an average of 2.75.
What?
Yeah.
Man. Did I say that?
You? Yeah. Whatever.
That means I wasn't listening to the shit he was saying.
I know. That's why I was like, yeah, get over with this.
Yeah. So 2.75 is our average.
All right. Got it. All right. American Fiction next week. End of the Bench. You already kind of talked about it. Anything you want to?
I just want to add one more thing about this movie. Referencing last week, remember I was saying the Kelly didn't do so well because of the poor attempt, the poorest effort at directing. And we saw this week the young man and the other actors elevated because my man was doing his thing. But tomorrow it's entitled "The Why Behind the Why," and I'm gonna talk about people like Wesley Hunt and this ID debacle that he put out there. He tried. Basically, my episode tomorrow will be about. At the end of the day, most Black people are conservatives, and if rich white folks just shut up, they probably get the whole Black community on the Republican side, but they can't get out their own racist way. Just look, Black people love Jesus. Black people work hard. Black people don't want you stealing their stuff. Yeah. But y'all got to throw the race in and blow it for yourself.
Yeah, and we want our rights at the end of the day. Black folks ain't trying to give up no rights, but they don't, again, packaging in some free shit. hey, tell me I'm lying.
Tell your lie. See, you know what? The Republican Party is a bad, cheating boyfriend. Where were you at? All you really have to say is, I was with Ben and Dawn. But what cheating boyfriends do, I used to be one. Way
too much.
Well, we go, I was at Ben and Dog House. See, we was drinking Coke 45 at 7:15 and by 9:28. It's like, who remembers that?
Right. That exact time.
You lying. And that's what they do.
Have you ever been telling the truth but knew you were talking too much and it made you feel like you wasn't being truthful?
Yeah.
I've been telling the truth because I talk so much. I'm like, this probably doesn't sound believable, but I'm telling the fucking truth.
No, look, as I said, like in my 20s, I can remember saying, I know this sounds like a lie, but you can't tell on yourself, I was messing with Jenny last week. This time I wasn't lying. That's what I said.
I wasn't there. That wasn't me.
Because I can remember when I got off BS and I had told 458,000 lies. And it was like, and then that's when I realized, I remember the day, and it was assumed that I was lying. I was like, I ain't did it. And just sat down and watched TV. I was like, hey, you gonna believe it or not? I ain't do it. And she walked away like, that nigga, he ain't lying. And I was like, I knew that was the key. So, yeah, Republican Party, they just some horrible boyfriends. Yeah. They some horrible cheating boyfriends.
Yeah.
So if y'all just shut up, y'all could take all our rights, just say. And but with that being said, I can't say what I'm really thinking, but I'm gonna say it in a Black way so all the Black people understand what I'm saying. And it's using Chicago street vernacular, but I'm sure because y'all Black, y'all gonna get it. The mayor of DC, the mayor of DC, the mayor of Philadelphia, the mayor of New York, they need to get moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I tell y'all what they've done, it's criminal. It is truly, I was joking, I was being facetious a second ago, but what they've done, they need to get moved on.
Mm.
And it is horror freaking horrific. It's not funny, and it's not even laughable. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Tune in tomorrow. But if you hey, you know what? I will, because I know you'll be getting ready for your program. I'll even text you the minute marker so you can just go right back to it. So because you need to hear this. Okay. And it's scary. And I used this term and it kind of threw you off last week. And you had me explain it. I said it's blackface whiteness. Mm-hmm. This is the dictionary definition of blackface whiteness.
Gotcha.
I promise you, I'm gonna remember that. And when I say I'm gonna be, because I like even with our show now, I'm actually listening as we go, and that's how I edit myself. So I'm going to and I'm going to minute marker that thing, and what I am going to do, I'm going to even turn that into a short because it has to be said. And this is why we must download the app called Politicking, because Politicking lets you know what dog, what Ben, what H-Rap voted on and how they went politically. So we won't be electing jerks. We'll be electing people who are working in our best interest, no matter what their pigmentation holds.
All right, tomorrow 6 o'clock,
6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yep.
7
I'm
p.m.
about to say 6:30. 6.
6.
All right, Queen 3 and King tomorrow.
Tomorrow on Queen 3 and King, The Power of Love, with special guest hosts Victor and Ketra Lee. And we're gonna talk about it. Y'all done heard it. Y'all done heard Huey Lewis in the News sing about it. Y'all done heard Luther Vandross sing about it. You know,
Skinny Luther or Fat Luther?
Skinny Luther.
No. Wait for love. Fat Luther.
No, the Power of Love.
Oh, the power. Yeah, that was the first. That was on that old album. He looked like Dracula on. Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna discuss that and all that it implies. You know, it ought to be interesting. You know, love is one of those topics, man, that
Love is.
we use it so often that it's lost its luster. People throw it out there so much, right? Which is why I remember when we were getting taught on love, we replaced that to a certain extent with respect and value. If you're trying to tell somebody you love them, you need to add, I respect and value you. Yeah. You know, because love is thrown around so often, which is a sad thing because of the whole God is love, you know. So anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. It ought to be interesting conceptually, and I expect to learn something new from somebody tomorrow. So tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time, right here on BS3 Network and our Roku TV channel, YouTube TV channel, and Twitter. Yes, and no matter how serious the topic, I'm gonna act a fool. So tune in.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, H-Rap, go ahead and close this.
I'm dropping that link in fan base too, y'all.
Oh yeah,
it's a little TV thing, and it's real simple. YouTube thing, TV. It's a little TV looking thing, and you tap it. Drop the link in there, and it's live.
Yeah, definitely.
Y'all already know, man. It's Tuesday, close to the end of the month, so if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God. God.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Peace.